Alex always hated being the new kid. His family had moved again, this time to a sleepy town called Graywood, where the highlight of the week seemed to be the Friday night high school football game, the kind of place where everyone knew everyone, or at least thought they did. His parents were thrilled about the quiet life, but Alex felt suffocated. Nothing exciting ever happened in Graywood. At least that's what he thought. The house his family moved into was an old Victorian on the edge of town. It had character, as his mom liked to say, but to Alex it just looked like a set from a bad horror movie. The previous owners had left in a hurry, judging by the dusty furniture and forgotten knickknacks still scattered throughout the house. The basement, in particular, creeped Alex out. It wasn't just the smell of damp concrete or the dim, flickering light bulb. It was the door. At the far end of the basement, there was a heavy, metal door with no handle. It looked out of place, like something you'd find in a bank vault or an industrial facility, not a suburban home. It didn't budge no matter how hard Alex pushed, and his dad shrugged it off as just some old storage room. But Alex couldn't stop thinking about it. Who puts a door like that in their basement, and why? One night, unable to sleep, Alex decided to investigate. He grabbed a flashlight and headed downstairs. The basement was colder than usual, the air damp and still. The door loomed at the end of the room, its metal surface reflecting the weak beam of his flashlight. He crouched down, running his fingers along the edges. That's when he noticed it. A keyhole so small he'd missed it before. The next day, Alex couldn't stop thinking about the door. He started searching the house, opening drawers, rummaging through closets, even flipping through old books, looking for a key. Hours turned into days, and his parents began to worry. "What's gotten into you?" his mom asked one evening. But Alex couldn't explain it. He felt drawn to the door, like it was calling to him. It wasn't until a week later that he found the key. It was tucked away in the attic, hidden in a dusty old cigar box alongside a faded photo of a man in a lab coat. The man stood in front of the same door, his expression grim. On the back of the photo, scrawled in shaky handwriting, were the words, "Do not open." Alex hesitated for a moment, but curiosity won out. That night, after his parents had gone to bed, he grabbed the key and returned to the basement. His hands trembled as he inserted it into the keyhole and turned. The lock clicked, and the door creaked open. Beyond the door was a narrow staircase, descending into pitch-black darkness. A musty, metallic smell wafted up, making Alex gag. But he couldn't stop now. He descended slowly, his flashlight cutting through the thick darkness. At the bottom of the stairs was a room, but it wasn't like any room he'd ever seen. The walls were lined with metal panels, and in the center stood a large glass tank filled with a murky green liquid. Floating inside the tank was a figure. Alex's breath caught. It was a man, or at least it used to be. The figure was pale, almost translucent, with thin, elongated limbs and hollow eyes that seemed to stare straight through him. Wires and tubes snaked from its body, disappearing into the walls. Alex stepped closer, his heart pounding. Suddenly, the figure's eyes snapped to him. Alex stumbled back, dropping the flashlight. The room was plunged into darkness, and he scrambled to grab the light. When he turned it back on, the tank was empty. Panic surged through him as he spun around, the beam of his flashlight darting across the room. A low, guttural sound echoed from the staircase. Alex bolted up the stairs, slamming the door shut behind him. He locked it and pressed his ear against the cold metal, listening. Silence. For days after, Alex tried to convince himself it had all been a dream. But things in the house started to change. Objects would move on their own. The temperature would drop suddenly, even when the heater was on full blast. And then there were the noises, footsteps in the hallway, whispers that seemed to come from nowhere. One night, Alex woke to find the door at the foot of his bed open. Not the basement door, the door to his bedroom. Standing in the doorway was the figure from the tank, its hollow eyes fixed on him, its head tilting slowly, almost curiously. "Why did you open it?" the figure rasped, its voice like nails on a chalkboard. Alex couldn't speak. He couldn't move. The figure stepped closer, its limbs jerking unnaturally like a marionette. It reached out, one skeletal hand brushing against Alex's face, and then it was gone. The next morning, Alex's parents found his room empty. No note, no sign of a struggle. Just an open window and the faint smell of damp metal lingering in the air. The house was sold again a few months later. The new owners found the basement door welded shut. They thought nothing of it, until they heard footsteps coming from below.